Stand here, McWarriors, and welcome back to another episode of RogueTech as we get into the campaigns of Howl's, Harrows, and last time, well, we managed to pretty much clean up the last of the planet that we wanted to deal with. We finished all of the missions we really wanted to hang around for. The only thing left was a couple of lower-level missions. I didn't think that'd be super interesting to sort of want to stomp our way through even more of the opposition. And all of the really high-level missions were all escort missions, and they have not been particularly great to us in the recent history in terms of being able to actually be completed. So we moved on to a brand new planet with some new options, and in order to begin our stay on this brand new world, flushing them out, we believe the local pirate organization has landed an elite lance on Lima. Its continued presence inside contested territory is unacceptable and threatens to distract our own forces trying to track it down and engage it. We need you to locate and eliminate this lance. This will be a 3-skull straight-up battle. What a 5 priority salvage, because we're still looking for a lot of cash at 932,650. We have several mechs currently in the process of being repaired and built, and I kind of need the money in order to finish repairing and or building them. So let's drop down on top of the entire group with our lance of 7 mechs. We're currently working towards our 8th lance slot. As we speak, should be done in 3 days, and another 9 or so days for the control on that, and we'll be able to drop full and complete twin lance groups. However, the mechs for the day. Alright, we are bringing, of course, the Thanatos along. The Thanatos is sort of a bit of a point defense mech at this point. That's kind of its main goal. It has some interesting firepower options. The MML-25 rack that it has on its right arm gives it a surprising amount of flexibility when dumping acid rounds in people's faces. The medium lasers are always solid, and the Risk Silver Bullet Gauss has proven to be an interesting inclusion which I may remove in exchange for something like a more traditional Gauss rifle. Mockingbird is driving, of course, Kerensky's stick, the Orion in the background right here. Equipped very simply with a pair of heavy MRM-30s and a Gauss rifle HAG-20, which it happens to be a little bit light on ammo for, but you know what? The MRM-30s alone have proven to be hilariously powerful. Paradox is driving the new kid on the block. I have been deliberately not talking about this mech for the past several episodes, even though it has shown up on the screen a couple of times. We have constructed a charger, and if you remember, what is it, 5 or so episodes now back at this point, I had mentioned, because we had come across in the store, that, oh, there's like 5 or 6 charger parts in the store. It wouldn't actually cost us all that much in order to buy it, and then I moved on from that. But after I ended the episode, I was looking through and seeing just what was actually going to be reasonable to purchase from the store in order to build stuff, and well, the charger actually became totally reasonable to buy after I sold up a whole bunch of mech parts, and its engine was still intact. Now, a Charger 1A1 has a 400 rated fusion core, which is gigantic, and normally this mech has almost no armor and 5 small lasers. Well, I was able to throw in a Clan XL engine, as you can see into the center torso of this thing, toss in some ferrofibrous Clan, endosteel, and an XL gyro, as well as a double heatsink kit, a light active probe, and I was actually able to have quite a bit of weight, and I wanted to make it really cool. Originally, the intention was going to be to put a melee mech in there, so I put fire fists on it, and spiked armor, and all the things that you would do in order to turn a Charger into a melee mech, and when I went to the melee weapons tab to fill up all the support slots, I realized I had 2 boomsticks. A boomstick is an LB-20 autocannon that goes in a support slot and weighs 10 tons. So I promptly pulled everything off of it and put 2 of the darn things on here. It's a little bit lighter on ammo than I otherwise feel comfortable with. However, this is our first assault mech that we've fielded. Also the first assault mech that we got, although we now have an Atlas sitting in the hangar bay needing to get patched up. So I have some hope. Normally I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't put boomsticks onto something so big, huge, and slow. But this is big and huge, but it's certainly not slow with that 400 rated fusion core. So we're going to hopefully have a little bit of fun with this guy, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it reacts. Howl, of course, in her traditional Gauss Wolf, our Timberwolf that has been equipped with a pair of Gauss rifles and 6 medium lasers. Jester, as usual, in his Racketeer. The Racketar is just hilarious at this point. The twin rotary AC-5s are just amazing, and I love them so much. Death Crusade in the Lament, which has proven to be one of our most reliable snipers that we've ever come across, and Finn in the Catapult 3 with the MML-20s, because this thing is too gosh darn reliable not to use. Alright, so with introductions out of the way, let's go see how far away the enemy is. Apparently it's a trap that we're looking at, and we're looking at least 2 lances, so far we're seeing parity here. However, that could change because obviously there will be a reinforcement lance, so it'll be 12 on 7, which is totally reasonable because we brought the Charger. Now, just how fast will this Charger go? Yeah, that's pretty quick. For a mech this size, oh, this is going to be quick. It's got Beagle Active Probe in it, it's got a Guardian ECM, it's got the twin boomsticks with 25 rounds because it's got 10 cluster and 15 slugs. I'm looking forward to seeing what this thing can do. I need to get a melee mech pilot all trained up because showtime is not really good enough for this mech just yet. But once I get her all ready to go in it, then we should have some lots of fun. Because I want to be able to run up and punch people and then double tap them with the boomsticks. Because they're melee weapons, they fire after the punch phase. So I can use this mech sort of as a fire support role, or, well, close range fire support role, or as a more straight up in your face brawler, and that's actually going to be the plan. So yeah, if we can get it done, it's going to be hilarious. And if not, then it'll be somewhat disappointing. Originally, though, this thing had mask in it. I put fire fist, spiked armor, spiked helmet, a blood sport fire control system, I believe. It's like, I had this thing decked out, and I was like, wait a second. I have 2 of these things, and you may not have a ballistic slot, but you have 2 support slots in your arms. And then I just proceeded to throw in a pair of weapon mounts on each arm. I do now have recoil actuators, but I need to come around to figuring out how I'm going to cram those into. Patchwork material tier 3 times 2 would be the ideal way of managing to fit the tonnage into that, because that would resolve pretty much all the recoil problems. The LB20s have huge recoil problems because, well, they are the boomstick, which is a sawed-off shotgun and it's pirate weaponry. Alright, so we currently have an LRM Carrier Mark II. That is hell incarnate and must die, because he's going to have a lot of electronic countermeasure systems on board as well. They're damn near impossible to hit. I have run into these before. Brutus Assault Tank, not quite as worried. I mean, the large lasers are pretty nasty, but I can deal with that. The Hunter is small. Oh, actually, it's an RM-20 Hunter, so not exactly the most basic model. Got a bog standard Spider. He's in the wrong battlefield. A Hector, which is a pair of negative large lasers and machine guns. That's not interesting. The Stiletto light mech, although it has some interesting risk here on board, might be something worth stealing. A Hellspawn. Oh, I like little Hellspawns. They're awesome. We had one of these, and then I sold it because I was like, I don't need it, and then I remembered that I desperately needed it to replace the Burnaboy. And then also Scorpion LRM tank. Okay, none of this is too dangerous. We can tank it. We can handle anything they're gonna send our way, especially once we get the Charger into the right position. He's keeping up with... he's at least keeping up with our little tiny medium catapult Mark III. So on tabletop, a Charger 1A1 will actually run at 5.8, which is as fast as most mediums. In fact, faster than some mediums. So it is hilarious, the fact that we were able to take a mech that is that quick and cram in a pair of, you know, AC-20s and then keep it reasonable, because it's also pretty heavily armored. I did not skimp on armor protection for this mech because I wanted to make sure that it was going to be able to handle basically anything that came its way. The whole idea was it's going to run right into the middle of the fight, it's going to punch everybody, it's going to get shot at a lot, and it'll be fine. Things didn't quite work out that way because of the LB-10s, but yeah. My initial thought actually was going to be that, oh, I'll take the pirate snubs that I had. The melee ones, unfortunately, were missing one because it got blown up in the Screamerland, got half torn apart, which was less than ideal. So I'm going to be very interested to see how it performs. I forgot I need to set that to overload to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We're getting hit by some swarm missiles. 5 of them were shot down, but that's not good enough. We're going to need those to go full on overload, because we do have to kill that LRM-20 carrier, and we have to kill it quickly. So in fact, I will probably detail somebody to move off over in this direction. Unfortunately, it's going to require jump jets to really get that locked down. I don't think I have jump jets in the company, so that's a bit of a negative. However, that we should have a much better protection now that we have the Pirate Laser AMS set to point defense mode, and that should cover us quite nicely, hopefully. Cross your fingers, because these LRM-20s, or the LRM Carrier Mark IIs, are nasty. Heavy LRM carriers are worse. So we recently had a battle just, I believe, on Saturday, where we ended up running into basically an entire company of, like, LRM carriers, and they nearly killed us. That battle lasted 2 hours of grueling combat, and it was a really entertaining and interesting battle, but I'd prefer not to have to go through a 2-hour battle specifically for this episode. So, yeah, let's see if we can't kill everything before all hell breaks absolutely loose. In fact, that might not be the worst position for the Rakatar up here. Depends on what sort of sightlines he can get. The city can be a little bit difficult in order to get the right kind of sightlines that you need. However, our Pirate Laser AMS handling this apparently with great flair and shooting down 15 to 15. So even though they don't get shot, here comes this big test. Will he be able to handle the incoming missiles from the LRM Mark II? He's not doing a great job of it. How many did you shoot down?
Damage minimal.
16. That's not ideal, man. You gotta do better than that. And even more incoming missiles. So he wasn't able to handle those. However, he did handle the next salvo pretty decently. How many missiles? 19 of 20. So did a much better job on that salvo that came after it. I don't know quite why he failed so hard, but hey. What are you? You're Hector, we know that, but what's your model? You look kind of like a cross between a Marauder and a Bushwhacker almost. I'm gonna zoom in and get a peek at that the moment we actually engage in combat. Oh, it is a Marauder. Okay, so the Hector is currently using a Marauder model. Alright.
Yeah.
We definitely need to shut down that LRM gear. There are not a whole heck of a lot of options we have in order to do that with, unfortunately. So I'm just going to push on forward.
Hey, let's see what this baby
Because eventually we're going to be able to see him and we'll be able to kill him. I have been considering reconstructing another artillery mech. We used to have one way back. It was a Griffin. It was equipped with an arrow. I kind of want to take 2 arrows and cram them onto, well, basically a new and interesting mech, just in order to see what sort of performance I can get out of it. And hopefully we can do that sometime soon. Unfortunately, most of the mechs that we have right now are not exactly the sorts of mechs that I currently want to convert into, well, LRM or artillery carriers. I'd very much prefer it if I could continue to make the mechs that I have into sort of direct fire, not close combat, but that sort of cavalry sprinting role. So we don't think the champion. We also have a Marauder that's going to be ready to be constructed in the next week or so. And then, of course, we have our gigantic Atlas, which we're going to have to take quite a bit of time to make sure that we build it in the way that we want to make sure it's properly done. I've been having to resist just mounting all of my best gear on other mechs because I know I need to save at least some of it to cram into that Atlas. The Charger can... Yeah, your Charger is actually probably keeping up exactly well with him. So he'll be in amongst the fight in the next round, and that'll be perfect. Jester, where's the Rector? I'm going to send Jester up top. This may end up being a huge mistake. I really hope it won't be, because his direct fire capabilities are insane. 12 shots from his rotary AC-5s are just hilariously strong, and if we can get those things on the target, they just absolutely rip the ever-living crap out of anything they run into. I'm very much looking forward to being able to do exactly that to somebody. Good. We're going to rush in through a bit of a side street. Make sure that we don't get too bunched up and bundled. There are a lot of swarm LRMs we've noticed being fired our way, so we do want to keep that in mind. The Thanatos, of course, needs to move forward as well. He's starting to generate a little bit of heat, but it's not the worst thing in the world yet. Let's make sure we come up here, and no target. And he is generating that heat because of the Pirate Laser AMS working overtime. As we start knocking things out, specifically this LRM carrier, he will no longer have to worry so much about it. One of the reasons why I made sure that he was equipped with a Gauss rifle, and originally it was going to be a heavy Gauss rifle. Well, actually, originally it was going to be a pair of heavy Gauss rifles. And then we had that Risk Silver Bullet, and I was like, it's a long-range heavy. Maybe this will work out great. But the original reason why we kept that is because I wanted to make sure he was specifically designed to be able to perform the point defense role with that Pirate Laser AMS. We know that Laser AMS can generate a lot of heat, and especially if it's working overtime to handle all of the universe of incoming missiles that can come, he generally won't have a whole heck of a lot to play with. So if you instead make sure that you mount a Gauss rifle, that's a good solid weapon that can shoot at basically any range you want, aside from point blank, but if you get a Silver Bullet Gauss rifle, you can shoot that at point blank. And deal a fairly decent amount of damage, so he'll only have probably one weapon in a great deal of his engagements, but it should be able to do a reasonable amount of work. So we made sure that we mounted a Gauss rifle onto it. That ended up becoming the Risk Heavy Silver Bullet Gauss, which is, as far as I can tell, direct fire artillery. Ooh, that was the building, not us. Okay. I saw orange numbers and I was like, wait a second, are you already through my armor? But no, they're not. So I think the Thanatos is not well designed yet. I think there are modifications. I really think this Risk Silver Bullet Gauss is going to have to be replaced by just either a regular Silver Bullet Gauss would be kind of ideal, that'd free up actually 4 tons, or perhaps a clan Gauss rifle and just utilize that. Taking a ton of fire, and they're starting to knock down the whole block, shooting down 17 of 49 missiles on that run right there. Death Crusade and your Lament. You're going to have to run a little bit around, which they've actually made a little bit easier on me. So I can actually get around. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a line of sight on anybody in this turn. That is extra double plus bad, but we can move around into this corner over here and hopefully get an interesting angle going down soon. I especially love to get a shot on this LRM carrier, but that's going to take some time. They've got a lot of LRMs in this company. Something we could actually probably match if we wanted to start just ramping up the number of LRMs we had mounted onto all of our mechs. Just get everybody at least an LRM 5 and see what that is. I mean, at the end of the day, we'd have 40 missiles, but yeah, definitely gonna have to create an artillery mech with, say, a pair of LRM, or not LRM, but Arrow 4 artillery pieces. I don't think I have clan versions in this particular run through, but I do think I have several of the standard Innisphere ones. Okay, more good hits going down to the LRM carrier, and our MML has in jam, so he'll get another double salvo in the next round. I hope that I can kill him before, he gets another opportunity to really do a lot of damage to me, but we'll have to find out. Once again, Charger keeping perfect pace with our little catapult buddy, providing a little bit of electronic countermeasure. He is packing the system for it, a Guardian ECM, in order to help keep things a little bit more jammed, make sure the enemy can't get any sort of accurate fire onto us. So speed, firepower, armor. That was sort of the trifecta of this Charger. And honestly, you could not make this Charger normally. Under normal circumstances, the problem with this Charger comes down to the fact that you can't cram two LB autocan, or you can't cram two normal ultra autocannons or LB autocannons or autocannon 20s into that Charger. It does not have the weight for it. An LB 20 autocannon is normally 14 tons. The boomstick is 10. The Thanatos is going to need to go around in a different corner. All right, so this was a bit of a fool's errand. That is a shame. Can I move off in this direction? I don't want to keep the Thanatos away from friendlies. We're heading back down. That's unfortunate, because that means the Rakatar's got to go backwards too. Although the Rakatar will try and send through this area here. In fact, he'll probably flatten one of these buildings on his way through, just to make sure that he has an easy, unimpeded path to sort of getting around the enemy. Looks like they're targeting the Charger now, which is great. Although the Scatter did still manage to hit the catapult. And the reason why is the Charger is almost fully armored. It is fully ready to rock and roll the moment it has an opportunity to shoot at something. That is not... Yeah, that's a raised platform. I was considering blasting down the buildings just to get on in there, but no, that would not end up working. So our company is actually reasonably quick. By reasonably, I mean really fast. Like, we are built on Timberwolves and all sorts of speedy little mechs. Well, not little, but definitely fast. We're going in very much for a cavalry style for this company. Tends to be a little bit lighter on firepower than certain other brawling builds might be, but I think it works out pretty nicely. Multi-target. You'll shoot down that building and that building. Can you target this one? Oh, you can target C. Oh, okay. In that case, I need to double check how much health. 150. Can you clear the building, please? Can I look at this building? Okay. 100 health. 150 health. So I want to just fire at A and B. And we'll run both guns. Because it amuses the heck out of me. I really probably shouldn't. Medium lasers 2 off. Keep the temperature somewhat under control. This is totally a waste of time. Well, a waste of ammunition. But it's amusing that he has now just created his own little path. Just by letting his racks fly. I love this mech so much. It does need a bit of a modification. It needs to replace that prototype heatsink kit with either a prototype double or just a double heatsink kit in general. He is a little bit too toasty for what he can currently do, which is one of the reasons it's important that we make sure the Paradox drives him, because Paradox has not only the heat generation quirk for minus 10% heat, but he also has Warlord, which will give him chunks of 40 heat knocked off every so often. Makes it very useful to keep things under control. He might actually have a shot on that alarm carrier in the next round. That would be pretty cool. Lots of incoming fire, but it is totally under control. The Thanatos has our back fully covered. The enemy hopefully will not be able to get too much damage on me, although they've dealt a pretty considerable amount of just steady skirmish damage with those swarm LRMs. I kind of do want to kill that Brutus in short order, just because of the swarms he keeps putting down. One of the biggest problems with the swarms is the stability damage that they're going to be dealing to us. So I'm not a huge fan of having to take all that stability damage, because it does mean that sprinting becomes more and more risky the further the battle goes on. Oh good, we will now peek out around the corner and say hello. The Lament is a little bit vulnerable. It is supposed to be sort of a longer-ish range fire support build, so I don't want to be too stupidly aggressive with it, but, buddy, if you get a lucky couple of shots, you can absolutely annihilate him, or I could kill the Stiletto, potentially. The Stiletto is currently looking at jamming us pretty good. You have an LRM 30 Pirate, which could be quite useful. No, I want this Brutus down, I think. Well, the LRM 30 is also... Oh, he's also got swarms. Okay, yeah, kill him. Nailed him 3 times with those Gauss rifle, with those PPCs. Already doing a phenomenal amount of damage. That mech is such a reliable destroyer of worlds. Can I get a direct line of sight onto any of... Where is he? What's the problem here? Is this like a lowered garden or something? Can't even really see it. Well, in any event, we're going to have to figure out a solution for his problem soon. So, we need to continue to put the pressure down on this little DLRM carrier, because apparently we don't have a direct line of sight onto him. And he is going to have to walk sometime soon just to get everything under control. And yeah, we'll just fully flood him with more less than kill ammunition. And he's dead. Wow.
I think I hit.
Wasn't expecting that, but you know what? I will take that because that is a huge burden off of us. That's a continual salvo of 60 missiles every turn that is just gone now. So that's a lot going down to the Lament, which is less than ideal because the Lament is not designed to take this kind of fire. The Thanatos are really starting to struggle with the heat here. However, we did knock down one of his missile carriers, which was carrying a considerable amount of control. So we'll just give him a turn to chill. We may have to turn off the overload mode on the next one. His Radical prototype double heatsink kit has kicked in and is now dumping coolant as fast as it can. That may actually take control back of the system. That's one of the reasons why I've started putting Radical hits on basically anybody I can. So anytime we can find and steal one, we grab it because it's such a useful piece of gear. Charger getting swarmed again. But the Charger, again, designed for that kind of combat. He is willing and able to take those hits. Are you actually going to be able to clear the corner? You're not in melee combat, but you know what? I can certainly work with that. So let's go and say hi. So the Charger does have a pair of weapon mounts in each arm in order to try and maintain, one, the recoil, and two, give some accuracy. that's what I was looking for. That's going to be great. Alright, the Brutus, we're going to go with full-on slug penetration on this one. In fact, I'm going to full Warlord. We're going to buff up the damage to 110 per. And just nail him in the back. I imagine that, yeah, we've got two structure locations that are completely open. Probably should have set one to fire normally and the other to fire in cluster mode, but I wasn't certain which one was going to fire first. So we'll zip on in here, we'll finish them off. We will, of course, multi-target, so you... Oh, I won't be able to market to you, will I? No, I can't. Ah. Well, in that case, I'm just going to target you, because you're about to have the worst possible day. You know, I'll throw on the gas rifle as well. Sure, why not? Let's just make him in all of the pain. Wow, that looks like it was only just barely enough. Apparently, double heatsink engine? DHS engine? Didn't look like it could. But in any event, we've got another major one knocked off of the field. The Rakatar comes swooping in around the corner. One of his racks is jammed, but that's alright. It'll probably unjam in this turn, as they often do. I have sort of calculated their damage output as being firing every other round, 12 shots. Which still makes them rather phenomenally powerful. Although, 4 Ultra AC5s would probably be better. Now, in order to do that, I need 32 tons. I need 32 tons to cram in 4 Ultra AC5s. But if you have the tonnage available, it's an interesting solution to your back problem. Also, it won't suffer from accuracy degradation. Why can't I... Oh, this is... We're on the raised garden. I see. Well, that's a little bit awkward. Yeah, we'll shift the gas wolf up over here. The shot ain't great, but you know we're going to warlord it in order to make it as good as we possibly can get. And we did structure expose him already. I think we hit his leg. So 20% damage reduction is fine. The Lament actually had a fairly decent shot at it because the Lament is just a monster of long-range sniping combat. So if I can just get the Lament back on target, we can probably ruin his day completely and totally. With the Hellspawn... Wait, is the Hellspawn dead? I thought we had only blown off his arm. Oh, there he is. Hi. And a spider. The spider I don't care about. The Hells, because he'll be easy to kill. Just give me one good couple of hits on him and he'll detonate. The Hellspawn, also not all that dangerous as a pirate variant. It is packing an LRM 30, which no doubt is kind of stressing the Thanatos a little bit. But if we can get that under control, which I have no reason to believe we won't be able to, then we should be able to make it sure so that the enemy can't really cause too much more heat damage to us. I thought for a second he had suddenly been engaged by massive amounts of lasers, but no, that was in fact once again the Thanatos providing the perfect cover. Alright, Finn in his catapult doesn't really have a shot on anything, but that's okay. He can go peek up around the corner and still not have a line of sight on anything. Jeez, how am I supposed to get down here? It's like these two areas were not designed to interface with each other. Oh my god, am I going to have to seriously travel all the way back around that corner if I want to actually continue to engage people? Now, it looks like that may actually be the case. So I will actually take this round to just run, because apparently I have a pretty long corner to get to. So that's unfortunate. But I still think we can take them all. I don't think the enemy will be able to stop us. I mean, they'll be delayed a little bit as we sort of come around the corner with our mechs, but once we get down there, they're going to have a bad day. Just gonna swing around, see if there's another way. It really kind of isn't, not unless we go wide around sort of this open road, and that's off the map. So yeah, there's only one way to get there, and it's a bit unfortunate. Death Crusade, yes please. You have a back shot on a stiletto. It's a perfectly good, accurate shot. We're also going to lay down a sensor lock just to make sure that this accuracy continues to be great and grand, and it's also so everybody else can get a fairly easy shot on the back of it. Take aim. And a gift from me to you. Missed with one, which is really unfortunate, but the other two managed to slam right on into it, and it looks like we tore that thing apart. Unfortunately, we did lose a radical double heatsink kit doing that, but it should be fine, I think. So you can start sprinting off over in this corner to see if you can't get around. Also, that'll give you a little bit better protection. The charger, do you see? You don't. Oh, that is odd. I kind of would have expected you would be able to see the hellspawn, but apparently not. I don't anticipate he's going to have great range because of the fact that I take that back. So what are your problems? If your recoil is fully handled, I'm going to be super, super happy. Oh, good. The recoil is fully handled. I don't even need the recoil modifiers unless I want the accuracy bonus, which I do. Let's go. Oh, the accuracy is the same. Oh, there it is. 91%. Yeah, let's go see if we can't just twin LB20s in cluster mode just to test it out. Yes, this is everything I wanted it to be. I have been sitting on this charger for so long, deliberately not talking about it because I've been so excited to show it off, and I wanted it not necessarily to be a surprise, but I was kind of hoping that it would be something that would sort of take people and make it so that they hadn't quite realized what fully was going to happen. Fly the building, please. Thank you. Just give us more paths to move around it. It's kind of in the way. I'm not quite sure who built this road, but I kind of think they were an idiot. They need to go back to Plague City Skylines so they can actually get a little bit more experience with doing proper traffic simulation setup.
Full speed, no target.
So we're going to continue and move the Rakatar. Unfortunately, it looks like the Rakatar is not going to have much of an opportunity to shine today, because in order to get it into range of something, the enemy needs to come up top here. Okay, thank you. So, unfortunately... Wow, that is hilarious. Unfortunately, Mockingbird's going to kill it, because Mockingbird can absolutely annihilate this thing. I don't know why he came this close. I'm not going to complain, but I am going to Warlord just to keep the temperature under control. And if that was your flamer, that was hilarious, but, right. Please die now. And... oh, not quite dead, although he did have a excellent... oh, he's dead. Oh, he's absolutely dead. Yeah, he jumped on top of... well, he jumped on top of an Orion. That was probably not the best long-term life strategy that he ever came up with. Gotta say, I don't quite think that's something that you really should attempt to be doing a lot of the time. Oh, good. We're finally starting to chill out with the Thanatos, so the enemy is failing to produce a sufficient amount of missiles to overwhelm his point defense system, which is lovely. This Hector is still, of course, hiding in the corner like a coward. Come out and fight me, you coward, so I can kill you. We should have an easy time killing him once, the charger gets on the target. Almost gave this charger jump jets, but then I was like, I don't really have the weight for it. And each jump jet, I believe, is going to be 150? It's like 1.5 tons, I believe, because he's this 80-ton mech. But yeah, that charger is hilarious, and I love it. And this is not exactly the best map to show it off in, because there's a lot of verticality, and to be blunt, my lances do not handle lots of verticality very well. They tend to suffer a little bit, because they're very much designed as sort of more, well, straightforward fire control groups. Good hits on the spider, triple PPC. However, even with that said, it is still doing far, far better than I thought it would. I was not expecting the 77s and the 80 and the 91s. I was not expecting it to be quite so accurate, because I have been very concerned about the accuracy that this mech is going to be able to demonstrate because of those, the fact that it's a boomstick and it's a sawed-off shotgun. So it should have, I think, a shorter range. But that has proven to be an unfounded concern. We have nearly perfect accuracy, although we haven't really been shooting at targets that can move all that much. And also, his range is incredibly short. But again, that is a function of having to equip boomsticks, which is mitigated, of course, by the fact he's got a 400 diffusion core engine. He is faster than some mediums, and I love it. Looks like we're just going to have to continue along the path. There's not much for it, unfortunately. It is a bit of a road trip now as we wait for that Hector to do something, or to put himself in a position where we can do something about him. Because the way the map is designed, there's just no other options. Unless, of course, you brought jump jets, which, to be fair, jump jets are a phenomenal solution to a very difficult problem. Specifically, this problem. If we had brought a whole bunch of jump ships, we'd be dropping down on top of it. Would be great. But, oh, we have a line of sight. Let me guess, this is with your Gauss rifle. Because the hag has... Oh no, you can see everything. Kill it. Let's just go flood it with more or less kill ammunition. And that'll kill him. So down to 50% of the enemy forces. We see the one Hector who... Oh yeah, and the Spider. So we've got a Hector and a Spider. Neither mech are particularly good. Neither mech is actually equipped with any really decent weapons. Oh, you did manage to hit me with a large laser, so perhaps I should apologize to him for that. But I think his days are numbered.
What's up, boss?
Alright, Charger, can you get around the corner and shoot it, the Spider? That would just make me so happy. Unfortunately, no. It looks like the Lament is probably either blocking the path or... I can't believe we have to go all the way over here. Yeah, the Lament is either blocking the path or he's hidden behind the building, which might be the case. It may be a good idea to try and flatten this and this and these three buildings in order to just give me more openings in order to try and shoot down at the enemy. Spider is now up. Let's see what he wants to do. If he stands still, that'll probably be one of his better ideas. I mean, yeah, that prevents him from being able to earn any sort of evasion, which a Spider kind of needs, but on sort of the other side of that, he won't... Yep, and he decided he won't reveal himself. The Lament can get a line of sight on the Hector.
All on air.
So I will do that, I think. And we'll cook for the first round. It's not the worst problem. Managed to get at least one hit, possibly even two on that one. So shutdown overhead has been successful. Coach could actually just turn around and shoot him. Which I'm kind of tempted to do. I mean, I can only see him with my silver bullet. I imagine, anyway. Maybe not. Yeah, the silver bullet and the acid SRM's probably going to be the only thing that can reach out that far to touch him. But you know, why not? We'll just turn around. No, it is just the silver. And managing to go for crits on this one. He has been opened up. The silver bullet, the risk silver bullet that we have is not particularly, in my opinion, all that great as a direct fire weapon, which is one of the reasons why I kind of want to remove it from his current lineup. However, it is great for crit hunting once everybody else has opened up your opponent. So sure, we'll give you the gift that keeps on giving. And see if we can't just hunt for even more crits. If I can break stuff on the mech, I'll be happy. Howl with her Gauss rifles is a monster, and will actually have a 67%. Missing with one, but hitting with the other, she'll continue to sort of move on down the path. If I need to, I'll bring her back out, but I would like to get her sort of more situated. Oh, you're in heavy armor, and yeah, you're dead. Sorry, buddy, you don't survive this. Yeah, there goes his engine. And over. So the only thing left is now the little spider. Oh, the spider is in the wrong place. Alright, so the Racketeer doesn't have a shot at it. The Racketeer is not going to get a shot on it, but that's okay. We can handle this. This is not a problem. Life will be won by us, of course. Finn, in your catapult. You know what? Just sensor lock. Pick him up. You may have to step back in order to get a little bit better accuracy, because you might be too close. This may be a minimum range problem. I'm going to bet that it is. Turn back around. We're at short range. 67%. Oh, yeah. Absolutely a minimum range problem. Well, let's see how much 40 LRMs can do to him. The answer is it can make him hurt, but he's not exactly dead just yet. Although if I were that pilot, I may want to bail out. Just because, do you really want to continue to fight this? Yeah, he's going to run forward. He's going to continue to try and make some space. Shooting directly at the Lament. Oh, you made just the biggest possible mistake.
Commander.
Death Crusade. Yeah, just fill him full of holes. There we go. Triple PPC for the way to kill it off. Yeah, flush the enemy out. The Charger hasn't exactly had a baptism by fire, but it's certainly been one heck of an introduction to the brand new mech. Kind of was hoping it would get into a nice big brawl against a heavy or an assault class mech and be able to use those twin LB autocannons to do some monstrous damage. Unfortunately, it was not quite to be. However, we did manage to make 747,520 C-bills, as well as take minimal damage on most of the company. So we should be pretty fine on that one. There's really nothing here, is there? I kind of was a bit too aggressive. We'll probably grab these X-Pulse lasers. Just because I'm slowly accruing X-Pulse lasers for specific reasons, which I will talk about when I actually throw them into the mech that I have plans for. Yeah, if we had managed to save... I still have Wallace. If we had managed to save the radical double heatsink kit, I would probably grab that. But seeing as we did not, it's ignorable. So yeah, I'll grab the 2 X pulses just in order to continue to bring up. We got the useless basic and primitive cockpits and fire control systems, which is pretty bad. And a stiletto, which is an interesting mech, tends to have a lot of gear on board, but I have no interest in building. So we'll be able to sell that one for cheap. So not too terrible. I mean, not amazing, but we were kind of expecting that. That's one of the reasons I went mostly cash on this mission. I could have gone for full capture attempts on this, all the enemy mechs, and tried to run it for piracy proper, but I didn't really feel that we were going to be able to get the results we were sort of looking for if we went in that path. So all in all, not the worst mission. We did manage to make a pretty decent amount of cash, which now means I can actually build my champion, because all of the cash that I needed is now there. So, is there any other changes I need to make to that champion before I actually fully commit to the build? I'd like a Gauss rifle fire control system. Finding one of those is going to be really, really hard, because normally that's mostly a clan only fire system. The only ones that I know of that have it are actually the. I need to wait 2 days. The only mechs that I know that have it are urban mechs. So, alright, so we managed to finish that, and apparently our cash has gone way up. So we do have, of course, the 2 million CBIL cost that is coming for the end of the month. However, engineering has just finished that upgrade, so this is not the final upgrade, but in 9 more days we will be able to drop 8 full mechs, and then we have 2 more upgrades in order to make sure that we can drop the full tonnage of all of our mechs. And that'll finish out command and control, which will be amazing. However, if I do this, I'll be at 0 cash. So I've parted this out several times. The plan that we have constructed, because I really wanted to try and do this. What I ended up coming up with, because some people have asked that I show off this build process more, but I have been tinkering with this sort of every so often. Every time I come on, I sort of mess around with it and put it away, mess around with it and put it away. But 300 radius fusion core, this actually reduces our movement by apparently 1 sprint hex. I would like a larger 325 or something like that onto it. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm going to get it, so I'm going to make do with what I've got. We'll throw in the radical heatsink kit double as well. Coming to engines, we're of course going to take one of our clan XLs, because this is a mech that I really want to make work properly. In terms of other backups, that's pretty much it for the engine core. We then come over to the structure itself, and can't remember which sort of mix of Endo and Pharaoh I've been using, so we'll try and do it just with this normally, with the Clan Pharaoh and the Inners for Endo, taking up a pretty decent chunk of space. But doing that in order to mostly fill up some weight savings. The gyro defense, because 2 of his energy slots are locked behind this center torso, which if I throw in a gyro XL, which would give me, a pretty decent more tonnage, I mean, almost 2 full tons, I lose the ability to put in that second laser, and I kind of want to put in that second laser for mostly thematics. So that's most of the structure build right there. We'll go and we'll grab some weapons. So we come over to Gauss, we pick up a heavy Gauss rifle, because it's a 300 radius fusion core on a 65-ton mech. 65? No, on a 60-ton mech, sorry, which makes it pretty gosh darn fast. It's not the most ideal setup for movement to tonnage, but we'll tweak that as time moves on. But a heavy Gauss rifle should be moving fast enough for it to get that Gauss rifle into range, which is kind of the plan. We then come over to ammunition and we take our ammo Gauss double, so the double Gauss in the torso. So this torso is entirely heavy Gauss rifle now, and a pair of engines. And this is most of our weight right here. We still, of course, need to then come into our weapons and to our lasers, because I want to fill in the 2 medium lasers in the center torso. If I remember, I'm almost positive I maintained all of them. Then we come over to our SRM set, and we grab. I had tried so many times to fit this build in, and I just couldn't cram in the heavy armor M40 with a good ballistic, which I wanted MML-15, and that makes space for still another couple of tons of ammunition. So we come over to ammo. We come over to our SRM ammo, and we need acid and acid. And basically because acid SRMs are hilariously useful. They're not particularly accurate, but that is why we get in tight with the heavy Gauss rifle. Now, we still have a couple of other systems put in. Mainly, we come to our equipment. We go for the cockpit systems. We, of course, need some sort of fire control system that'll work with the heavy Gauss rifle. And that, of course, is the ballistic accuracy. At least, no, it was, we were not going to do that. We're going to go to flak. The flak is the -2 evasion ignore, 20% chance to increase critical, and -1 recoil. The recoil, not that big of a deal. The heavy Gauss rifle does have a recoil of 2, but most of the time the pilot going to be in this mech is going to have the recoil reduction of 2. But the flak will allow him to more accurately engage targets on the move. move. If this ends up not being so useful, I'll swap out for a ballistic. If I find a Gauss rifle targeting computer, that's going in there immediately because that also increases Gauss rifle damage. So other thoughts were also things like pirate fire control systems. I actually am pretty close to, yeah, we're not only 19 over, which is pretty good. We also went with the gunnery bonus in order to make sure that we could make sure this Gauss rifle would have a decent shot. So we wanted the rangefinder there plus for the increased sight and the gunnery bonus. It's not the most important use of it. I could swap in for a standard rangefinder for the 40 plus 40 sight because it does give you the same bonus to gunnery. But it wasn't the most insane thing ever. And to back that up, I threw in, I believe, sensor recons for a jamming system as well as pretty good sensors to sort of back up the whole show. And I figured this will be a pretty solid build. Other things that I ended up trying out was I removed a medium laser, put in the XL gyro, crammed in a little bit more electronic warfare gear, but I kind of want to see how this one sort of works out. It's a pretty significant amount of firepower on a fairly fast chassis, and the MML-15 for 4.5 tons is insane. One of the things that I was tempted to was to put in only an MML-10 instead because it's much lighter, but I'm a full 5 over. Huh. That sucks. Give me the 95. Pull from there. You know what? Pull from the center torso. Get this 155 up center. Should be good, I think. Right. Also, other things that I tried to do was try and make space. I believe if I pull out that endo and put in clan endo, what I can then do is switch over to heavy ferro, and that gives me another ton. And I think I'll actually do that. I will go with the extra ton for the heavy ferro, and the reason being, I want to have an active probe if I can manage the slots. Do I not have one? Because if so, then I guess we're going to go with the normal one, but I thought I had a clan beagle. Huh, doesn't look like it. Alright, we'll keep the normal. That was another plan of ours. I don't want to use my clan ferro, or my clan endo, because I don't have any of it. I have one, and I'm kind of trying to save that for another mech. A bigger mech, a more powerful mech, a 100-ton mech. And so we need to kind of save on that. Although I do want the clan ferro because the clan ferro also gives me some ammunition detonation protection. So if this acid ammo goes up in smoke, it'll save it. Other things you can do, again, you can rip out these medium lasers in order to fit in more space for other things, but I like thematically 4 medium lasers on my champions. It's the champion that I ran. The champion that I ran actually had an SRM-6, 4 medium lasers, and a Ultra Autocannon 20, I think, or an Autocannon 20. It was a brawling build. So fairly nimble, fairly fast. Gyro defense gives us a little bit more protection. The sensor recon gives us our own built-in electronic countermeasure, I believe. Yeah, ECM jammer reduces checks. Oh, it's only by 1. It's not great, but it should be a little bit helpful. As we move forward, once we can get our hands on, say, a clan Beagle probe or something like that, we'll try and see about fitting it in here. If we can get a CEWS, we will use that instead. But we're going to have to find it. So it'll be 12 days, and shoot. It was a little bit more expensive than I remembered. That's unfortunate. Okay, we're going to have to wait even longer on this then. I thought I had just enough cash in order to pull that off. Yeah, I wanted to go through the build process, just sort of explain why certain things were built in certain ways. Not ideal, not necessarily ideal at any rate, but certainly part of the idea of how I like to construct mechs. Specifically in that weight tonnage range, I want them to be fast, I want them to be nimble, I want them to be aggressive, and with that speed, I can accomplish pretty much all of those things. A quick check on through the faction shop, because it does sort of reset in between missions, because new people's stuff is grabbed and slotted into the faction shop every 10 minutes. And nothing really all that interesting. I mean, the tier 1 is nice, but I'm not going to invest that much cash into a tier 1 Patrick materials. So, other things. We may as well turn this into a bit of a build episode, just a demonstration of a build episode of plans that we have. The Kraken is going to require a lot of work. There's just no getting around that. Just to fix the mech is 500,000 C-bills. It's supposed to have a Gauss rifle, a 300 radius fusion core. I've only got one 300 radius fusion core, which... Oh no, I do have 2. Okay, good. So we can throw on a second 200 radius fusion core. It also has 2 energy slots in the center torso. It's kind of starved for kit. Because it's got 1 ballistic, 5 energy, and 2 missile. And I'm not super happy about it. Looking at this mech, I really have some concerns about what I'm actually going to be able to pull off with it, just because of the way that it's sort of designed and built. So it's really crit point limited. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more open, specifically like 4 energy weapons in the hands, but that's not going to be how that ends up working. I can't put a heavy Gauss rifle into this thing. I have it. I have enough even with once I build the champion, but it's going to be too slow. Even with a 300 radiant fusion core, the movement on this thing is going to be 7.4, which is painfully slow to put on a weapon that has a maximum range of 530 meters and would prefer you very much to be at optimal range of 240. So this is not the gun for this kind of mech. It's gonna need a long-range weapon. It will probably get a Gauss rifle for its big ballistic. Other options that I could try and throw in is like an Ultra AC-10 clan, but I don't really think that's worth it. I'm not going to use any of my Rotary 5s, and I do have 2 more Risk Rotary 5s. They were in the faction shop and I bought them, because I can't put recoil gear to sort of support that. So it'll either be the Ultra Autocannon 10 from the clans, which kind of feels a little bit, pathetic, but compared to the Gauss rifle, it actually does deal more damage, and I cannot put in a heavy Gauss rifle into this thing. Another thing is I can try and leverage the support slots, which is what I ended up doing for the Charger. Take a look at our medium lasers. I've got a snub-nosed PPC, plasma lances, but the problem with that is the Charger, again, super fast, gets into combat really quickly. This mech will not be that mech. So other things we could end up doing, I could just end up grabbing big LRM tubes. I mean, I've got more than enough space in order to cram in a pair of LRM 20s. It would be heavy and kind of dumb, but I could do that. More likely what we'll end up doing is we'll grab the heavy 40s. I don't think I can fit 2 of them. No, I can cram in 1 heavy 40, or, yeah, probably just the 1 heavy 40. If I did that, let's see, a heavy 40 plus a Gauss rifle. This gives me nice long-range fire support capability. ER mediums? That might be a thing. I have way more weight. What am I even talking about? I could absolutely get the largest. So if we went with that, we went with a Clan XL, because we'd want a Clan XL. We don't have to have it, but it would be nice to have. We also come with the gyro. Give me all the way to the bottom. Gyro XL. Although it does take away one of my energy slots, but it's the center torso energy slot, which is not that big of a deal to me in a mech that has hand-mounted ones. If it didn't have hand-mounted slots, it might be a little bit more attractive to try and do that. But since it does, this is where I wanted to save my Clan Pharaoh for, or my Clan Endo, so I could also cram in Clan Pharaoh. This gives me a ton of weight. Also, we do need to make sure that we would then throw in a Clan Radical, or a Radical Heatsink Kit double, which is why I've been collecting the darn things. They're great. That puts my heat efficiency way through the roof. Now, I do have to, of course, keep in mind ammunition, but we then go into lasers. We scroll all the way down to ER large laser clans. There we go. Now, the heat efficiency on this is 126, but I can do more things to help that. Also, I still have 27 tons worth. Let's make sure that we cram in enough ammunition first before we go too far. So I need ammo, Gauss, doubles. That'll give more than enough ammo, right? Yeah, he's got 20 shots with that. He'll be fine. And then, of course, the MRMs, on the other hand, take a little bit more work because they will need more rounds. Ammo, MRM. If I had ATMs, I would use them, but I don't. At least I don't think I do. And so we're going to want 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. There we go. That gives them 15 rounds of combat. So I've got 20 rounds of combat with the Gauss rifle, 15 rounds of combat with the heavy MRM. I still got a couple of slots left for other things. A bigger engine core might actually be a good idea. I do, however, want to double check. Go to here so I can find Exchanger Plus for the 20% heat reduction, which is exactly what I want. That puts my heat efficiency at 81 for 100. And then I come in with some double heatsink, or a double heatsink. And then I start considering removing the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh is taking slots that I don't really need. It gives me enough room for that. This puts me up to 100 for 105. I'm capped on slots. Do I need that? Max the armor. Good on armor. Means I don't need the endo. Means I don't need the Gyro XL. Now I still need the endo, because the Gyro XL was taking up a considerable amount of slot. But that could then move this weapon, lasers, medium laser, medium laser. Oh, I'm slot limited again. I don't need that much tonnage, or I don't need that many shots. So give me another medium laser. Give me Gauss rifle. Gauss rifle ammo. Right on there. Because that's 10 shots of ammo right there. He only needs about... Oh, no, it doesn't, because the double gives you... Oh, shoot. No, I need that then, unfortunately. Give me the double. 2.5 tons. What can I do with 2.5 tons? No weight and maxed out armor. That's a good question. First of all, we'll move this down here. I guess the answer is pulse lasers. Okay, so we go weapons. What's my current heat at? It's gonna mess with my heat curves, but who cares? I'm gonna make this work. I need lasers, of course. Do I have rakers? Because I like raker pulses. Because raker pulses fire in one continuous blast. That means that you deal a ton of pinpoint damage. Half a ton. Right. Or can I find half a ton of white? Or just in general half a ton of anything. I can't really increase the tonnage of anything I've got. It's all pretty good, actually. Oh, that's an idea. Pull off one of those. Puts us at 1.561. We come over to equipment. We come over to, because we're going to need other stuff. Yeah, give me a guardian. Put that right in the head. Congratulations, you got a full-on thing. Now, it does have an energy accuracy system. That's not the worst thing in the world, but what I am going to do is I'm going to swap it out for a pirate. Oh, it's built in. That's interesting. I'm going to swap it out for a pirate fire control system because there are so many different weapons. We've got missile, we got ballistic, we got energy. Like, you're going to need them all. We're way underweight, which is kind of crazy. We'll go with a full-on... we'll go with rangefinder for the increased long-range capability. And then in order to throw them from sensors, I think we're going to want... Actually, the sensor tracker. And the reason I think the sensor tracker might work out, it's a slow mech. It's going to take some time to actually get into firing position to do anything. So, but yeah, this might be the way that we end up building the Kraken. It's a lot of varied weapon systems. I'm not quite sure how that'll end up going in, but it would take us 50 days and 5.5 million seals. This is one of the reasons why I've been trying to save up money. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. I have been Terran. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see a notification every time I post one of these videos. Make sure you press the little bell icon, leave a comment. Make sure you swing on by on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 4 o'clock for the streams that we run for Apollo's Vipers, a Clan Start campaign where we've been ripping through and are almost 8 mechs on there as well. And I will see you all in the next episode.